Hello everyone, and thank you for tuning in to another one of my videos. In this video, I'm going to be talking to you all about something that isn't gameplay oriented in terms of being within a game of League of Legends. In fact, this is something that's, in my opinion, a little bit more important than that. It's something that a lot of people oversee. And I'm going to be talking to you guys today about picking out good keyboards and mice for playing video games. More specifically, good peripherals for League of Legends. Having a good keyboard and mouse is going to allow you to perform some of the mechanics that I talk about in my videos and some of the things that you pick up while you're playing League of Legends better, just because the keyboards and mice have better response times, they have better accuracy, and they're just going to allow you to accelerate your playing process. Maybe not make you a better player, but make you have the room to grow as a better player. So I'm going to talk about that in this video. So without any further ado, let's get started. Okay everyone, so the first part of this video is going to be about mice. Now there are like 4 things you might want to take into consideration when you are buying a mouse. Now the first thing you want to take into consideration is wired versus wireless. Now wireless mice, they do offer like a very convenient sort of, wireless. I mean, there's no wires, there's no tangling, there's no confusing other wires in the back of your rig. It just offers a lot of convenience and accessibility, but you're also forsaking or sacrificing a lot of reaction integrity. So basically, when you're sending a signal wirelessly, it's going to be slower than that of a signal sent through a wire. A hard wire is going to allow you faster reaction time. Is this fast enough for you to really notice? Probably not, but wireless mice often die as well, so you're going to have to constantly change the batteries or just remember to charge it if it has that feature. Either way, I prefer going with a wired mouse. You never have to worry about it dying, and if you have a spare USB port, there's really no reason not to. And wired mice, they usually come in a bigger selection. There aren't a lot of wireless gaming mice. There are tons of wired gaming mice. The next thing you might want to look for are buttons. Now, if you are someone who plays League of Legends and you want to hotkey your items, for example, to a button on your mouse, you could do that. Some people are more purists and just want like a really high quality mouse. They don't need any buttons to complicate things. Some people don't like the feeling on their fingers. Some people play MMOs as well and need the extra hotkeys to access some of the buttons that their left hand can't reach on the keyboard. Either way, it really just depends on what you're going to be finding yourself using for. So buttons versus non-buttons, I'd say go for what your preference is. The third thing you might want to look for is DPI. DPI is basically the measurement that comes with mice that basically is sensitivity based on the resolution of your screen. So DPI is kind of complicated to explain, but basically the higher DPI you have, the more sensitive the mouse will be without sacrificing any accuracy. So you could be pretty accurate while having your mouse really sensitive. Also, if you have a pretty big monitor, having a big DPI is going to be really helpful for you. And the last thing you might want to look for is overall feel for the mouse. Do you want a mouse that allows you to play with a claw style so your fingers are bent, or do you want to play with a mouse that allows you to have your fingers extended? Some mice prefer one style over the other, and this is something that you're often able to get through the comment section of various review sites like Newegg or Amazon, wherever you're going to be finding your parts. So those are a couple of things you might want to take into consideration. The next part of the video is just going to be me highlighting some of the mice that I've used in the past and some of the things that I recommend based off of my personal use and reviews that I've read. Okay guys, so the first mouse that I'm going to recommend to you guys is the CM Storm Havoc. CM is short for Cooler Master. They're usually known for their computer hardware, like their cases. I actually use a Cooler Master case on my home-built rig, but their Havoc mouse is a powerhouse. It's a really great mouse. It's a low-end mouse in terms of its price, but it's very high in performance. It's an 8-button mouse. It has 3 buttons on the side, a mouse button, and obviously it's left and right click, so it's not necessarily the mouse you want to use if you want to keybind a lot of things to it, but it's a very great customizable mouse. It has 8200 DPI, and it's also a laser mouse, so laser mice versus optical mice, it really just depends on preference. You guys can do more research on that on your own. I prefer laser mice, some people prefer optical mice. Like I said, it comes down to preference, but it's 8200 DPI, which means that you could like crank up the sensitivity on this, and it will transfer over to a larger sized monitor with ease. Like I said, if you have like a 4K or like a 2K monitor, it will transfer over really easily versus some mice where you have to like use a really long mouse pad. That's really the point of DPI and sensitivity. It's a wired mouse, so that really just depends on your preference again, and it costs $54.99 retail, which is a really low price for a gaming mouse, and it's definitely something I would suggest if you don't really care about buttons, but you want a really high quality mouse that you want to just be able to use for all around everything. So I would suggest this mouse. It's the one that I'm using right now. So the next mouse I'm going to be talking to you guys about is the Razer Naga Hex. Now the reason that I bring this mouse up is because it was designed for MOBA games by Razer. Razer makes really solid parts. I tried out this mouse in the store and I didn't personally like the feel, but I have really, really large hands for like my size, I guess, and I felt like I was really palming the mouse itself. So I don't think it was designed for people who have large hands. So it's something that I feel like if you go to your local Best Buy or local electronics store and they carry it, it's something to try. It is a 5600 DPI Razer Precision 3.5G laser sensor, so it's a laser mouse with 5600 DPI, which is really nice. When you start to go to like really high resolution monitors, you might find a little bit of inaccuracy, but I really don't think it's going to matter that much. I mean, you're really not going to notice anything above 5000 DPI for the most part. And like I said, the reason why this is such a great mouse for MOBA games is because it has 6 configurable buttons where the thumb would rest. So 6 configurable buttons, obviously one per item. You could probably keybind one of your center buttons for the trinket if you wanted. But 6 configurable buttons on the side allows you easy access to your items while you don't have to remove your fingers from the Q, W, E, and R keys. I had a Razer Naga for a really long time, the one with 12 configurable buttons on the side, like having a numpad on the side of your mouse. But it really just depends on preference, and it really just depends on what other games you're playing besides League of Legends. But if you're a MOBA main, you like playing a lot of MOBA games, this is definitely a really cool mouse to invest in. I'd highly suggest it. Okay guys, the last mouse I'm going to suggest to you is obviously a wireless mouse because I haven't suggested any wireless mice yet, and it is the SteelSeries Sensei Wireless Gaming Mouse. So this is a wireless mouse made by, like I said, SteelSeries. It has a 8200 DPI, which is just like the wired mouse, and it's basically just a really great wireless mouse and feel. It doesn't necessarily contour to the shape of the hand. It's a pretty standalone mouse, and it doesn't look very comfortable just from my standards. But people who don't necessarily palm the mouse and just use their 2 fingers to control the mouse and use a lot more of their thumb rather than their whole wrist, they would find themselves using this mouse very comfortably. It has its own charging dock, and it has a large, I'm talking about 16.8 million color zones that you could actually customize the LED illumination on the mouse for if you're into like coordinating all the colors on your rig. It's a really great mouse. It's one of the ones that I've seen that is highly recommended in terms of gaming mice. It is rather pricey though, but that's the cost that you have to pay if you want wireless. Overall, looks like a pretty solid mouse to me. But like I said, I'm really not a big fan of wireless mice. But if you're a fan of wireless mice, if you have a laptop and you're looking to game on a laptop, then this is definitely an investment you might want to look to make. Okay, guys, so that was my recommendation for mice. The next thing I'm going to be talking about is keyboards. Now, keyboards are probably the most important thing that you can invest in terms of making a gaming investment on your computer. Having a good keyboard that won't wear and tear, that has nice switches, that has nice reaction time, that has a lot of functionality will be your best bet in terms of being able to pull off some of the more mechanical combos in League of Legends as well as other games I could imagine. So I'm going to be talking about some the keyboards that I would recommend as well as some of the buying points that you should look for keyboards. So just like mice, there are 4 buying points that you should look in keyboards that will basically be the selling points in terms of which keyboard you'll want to buy. The first of which is its features. So my keyboard, for example, I have a Razer keyboard. One of its big selling points is that it has 5 macro keys on the left-hand side of the keyboard. This allows you to program each one of these keys, not necessarily for League of Legends, but you could program these keys to do various macro tasks that you can record that just allow you to press one button versus pressing a combination that might be kind of obscure. So say, for example, you wanted to use control semicolon, for example, as a macro, and you don't want to take your hand off the mouse to use right control. You could macro that to one of the macro buttons, which could make accessing that hotkey a lot easier. This is just one of the various selling points that you could look for in terms of your keyboards. So features is definitely one of the most important selling points, especially when you're looking at a gaming keyboard. The next thing I could suggest is key switches. Now this is probably the most important thing that you could look for in terms of buying a gaming keyboard. Basically, gaming keyboards, most gaming keyboards have something called mechanical switches. Now, a mechanical keyboard basically sends a physical signal versus an electrical signal through the computer. It basically says when the button's pushed down, um, when the switch is activated, for example, when you actually push down on the key, the switch is pressed and the switch sends the signal. So because it's a mechanical signal, you can press down every button on the keyboard without lagging your system. So you can actually input quite a bit more and quite a bit more faster than your standard grade retail keyboard that you'd find coming with your desktop or just from any other major brand. So mechanical switches are more often than not manufactured by a company called Cherry, and they come in a couple of different colors, and they range from very light, very low pressure, which is like your red and your brown, to very high pressure, which are like your black and your green. I personally have green on my keyboard. That's just the one that came with it, and I noticed on my gameplay got a lot better because I was not lagging my system when I was pressing multiple keys. I was able to press multiple keys once, which didn't punish me for spamming. And overall, it was just a really nice switch. So getting a mechanical keyboard with the switches that you prefer the most is going to be vital. The next thing you want to talk about is, like I said, wireless versus wired. In terms of your keyboard, you always want to get a wired keyboard. Wireless keyboards, they require a lot more battery than your standard wired mouse, and they're more likely to die more frequently. And if your keyboard dies, you can't let your team know that it died, unlike your mouse. If your mouse died, you could type, "Oh no, my mouse died, sorry, I threw that fight for us." If your keyboard dies, you're screwed, basically. And you want to get a wired keyboard. That's really what I suggest. But if you're looking for that functionality and you want to risk it, then go ahead and get a wireless keyboard. I'm sure there are some out there. And the next is key height. Now, a lot of people, when they look for a keyboard, they look for slim, sleek keyboards that are really portable that they can fit in their laptop case. I, for one, prefer a raised keyboard. And for gaming, raised keyboards are better. Raised keyboards allow you to have these mechanical gaming switches in there without sacrificing any positional integrity in terms of you're often sacrificing the thinness of the keyboard for having a mechanical switch, which is a sacrifice I'm willing to make because mechanical switches are so beneficial for gaming in general. So in terms of slim versus thick keyboards, you want to get a keyboard with raised keys, a very thick keyboard, because it's more or less going to be guaranteed to have a mechanical switch inside it. And depending on whatever mechanical switch you get, having a mechanical keyboard, regardless of the switch, is going to be helpful for you. So those are 4 of the selling points you should look for in terms of buying a keyboard or a mouse for League of Legends. I'm going to talk to you guys now about some of the keyboards that I would recommend. Okay guys, so the first keyboard that I'm going to recommend to you guys is the Razer BlackWidow Ultimate 2014 Elite Mechanical Gaming Keyboard. This is a pretty pricey keyboard, but it has MX green switches, which is a really heavy key. It makes a lot of clicks. If you don't like noise, this is not the keyboard for you, but this is currently the keyboard that I use. It has really nice key weighting. Like I said, it's a mechanical keyboard, so it allows you to press multiple keys at once without sacrificing any of your systems, like lag. And it's a really solid, really bulky, just nice keyboard overall. It's very sturdy. So this is the one that I recommend. Nothing much more to it. You can see what it looks like in the picture above, and just really cool. So the next keyboard I'm going to suggest is a little lower in price, still pretty pricey at $110, but it's the Corsair Vengeance K70 mechanical gaming keyboard. This keyboard has a lot lighter switches. It has black cherry MX reds. When you have MX red switches, basically you're going to be pressing significantly lighter on the key while getting a signal. So if you have really heavy fingers, or if you press down on the keys really hard, a lighter switch isn't necessarily the way to go. You want to get a really heavy duty, durable switch. But this is a really comfortable keyboard. I actually tried this one in the store. It's very compact, very slim. It has its own wrist guard. It has red keys on the gaming keys, your WSAND and your 1 through 6, which is just really cool. And it's just a really solid keyboard overall. It's not too bulky. It's very compact. And the last keyboard I'm going to suggest to you guys is the CM Store Quickfire TK Compact Mechanical Gaming Keyboard. This is the smallest of the gaming keyboards. It really eliminates all of the space that you would find yourself using. What it does to eliminate a lot of this space is that you'll notice that there's no arrow keys. You'll notice that there's no delete, insert, home, end, page up, page down, etc. Those divider keys in between the number pad and the keyboard itself where the letters are. The way they do this is that you actually can turn off the numpad, and when the numpad is turned off, the bottom buttons of the numpad turn in to the arrow keys, which is really cool because it makes it very compact and it makes it very easy to store and travel with. So you're able to get a wired, powerful Cherry MX Blue, just really durable mechanical keys keyboard without having to go wireless. So it just goes to show that you can get a compact keyboard for traveling and without having to go wireless. So that's my video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. I gave you guys everything that I pretty much know about peripherals. I got asked this question a couple of times during my hiatus when I wasn't making videos, and I've been wanting to make a video about it ever since. And hopefully I answered a lot of your guys' questions about keyboards, peripherals, some of the things you might want to look for. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. Thank you for your support.